You're listening to The Pivot Point, where we unpack the defining moments that shift careers and lives. I'm your host, Laura Dionisio, founder of Lead Intact, and my mission is to spotlight the raw, real stories behind career pivots, the fears, the hopes, the messy middles, and the bold decisions that follow. If you're feeling stuck or quietly wondering what's next, I hope these stories help you see yourself a little more clearly and inspire you to start moving toward your own dream life. Let's begin. Sara, welcome to The Pivot Point. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and we are inadvertently matching, but that's okay. That means that the vibe is there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how I usually do this is I'm going to go ahead and read your bio because I know you're awesome. We've worked together. You built me the most amazing Asana board. Now I'm Asanaing all over the place. The listeners like, what even is that? But let me read your bio so that the listener can get to know who you are. Sara Ritchie is a powerhouse behind some of dentistry's most efficient practices and most impactful events. With extensive experience as an operations manager, event planner, and strategic director, she has a proven track record of transforming businesses through organization, leadership, and scalable growth strategies. As a fractional COO, Sara helps dental practices and companies streamline operations, optimize teams, and increase profitability without the overwhelm. She specializes in building systems and leadership frameworks that strengthen team culture, drive revenue, and create sustainable success. As an event planner and manager, Sara designs and executes high-impact dental conferences, masterminds, and networking experiences that elevate brands, foster collaboration, and inspire industry-wide growth. She works with private dental practices ready to boost efficiency and revenue, dental companies seeking operational leadership and scalable systems, and event hosts looking for world-class planning and execution. She helps through operational efficiency and scalable systems, team culture and leadership development, revenue growth strategies, and event strategy and execution. When she's not helping businesses grow or producing unforgettable events, Sara enjoys reading, practicing yoga, and traveling with her daughters. Thank you so much for being here, Sara.
Yes. I think it's the first time I've heard that spoken out loud. I love it.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
That's why I like to read people, because when I started this podcast, I thought about the format, as a fellow systems person, right? We're like, how are we going to do this? System, structure. And I was like, I could record it afterwards, but I know it feels different when you're hearing somebody else say it, because you're just like, oh my God, that's me. Wow.
There's power. Yeah, there's huge power in that. Huge power in that.
Yeah. So like I was telling you before we started recording, we like to, here at The Pivot Point with Laura Dionisio, I like to ask people's intention for the time we have together. Sara had a really beautiful intention. Go ahead, share your intention with a listener.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to remember it again. We're going to let women know that it's okay and that you can be out in the world, creating, doing, and making a living. I just extended it by 4 sentences, but that's the whole intention.
I love it. And then my intention was to be selfish.
I love it.
And learn from Sara, because here's the thing. So Sara and I know each other because we are both in this amazing Ease in Abundance course through AI. And Sara has helped me, like I mentioned Asana, she's helped me operationally with me and my VA to have a system in place. And then she briefly mentioned oh, I remember how that felt when I left corporate. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Mm-hmm. And at the time I haven't left corporate. So really this whole thing, asking Sara to be a guest, was for me, yes, but also I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking. It is for me, but also I know there's a listener out there who's in corporate, has been in corporate for a long time, has a secret dream that they're not even letting themselves talk about, think about, let alone speak out loud. And I know that they're going to resonate with what you have to say. Mm-hmm. And so I love your intention. It speaks beautifully to this podcast and what I always hope to inspire others to do. So walk us through the highlight reel of how did you get to where you are? What was that like?
Oh gosh, I will say I wish I would have had a podcast like this, or other female entrepreneurs to say, like, hey, this is what I want to do. How did you do it? There's not that many out there. And there's not that many out there that are actually like, oh, hey, I did this step by step by step. So I love, Laura, that you're doing this. My journey is I was a practice manager in a dental company years ago for a practice, for several practices. And then I decided I wanted something bigger. I'm a single mom, so I know there's gonna be single moms out there too. And I wanted something bigger and better for my children. But I also wanted, I have two daughters. I wanted them to see that as women, we can do whatever the heck we want to. Like, don't have to conform to what somebody says we are. We don't have to sit in a box. And so I started working kind of in corporate and dentistry for another company where I helped to grow that company. We went from just me as a team member to 10 team members. We went from just a couple of dental practices to over 100 dental practices, expanded into events and all that. And after 7 years, I kind of was like, why can't I do this for me? Like, why am I doing this for someone else? Why can't I do it for myself? And funny enough, last October, I was moving one of my daughters, her husband's Air Force, and I was like, called a family meeting, which we had those when the girls were young, right? Where you have like the spatula and only one person can talk because everybody wants to talk. So my poor daughters thought that something was terribly wrong with me because they were like, why, mom? Why do you want a family meeting? And I was like, oh, because I actually wanted to talk to you. I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. I actually want to go out on my own, but there's a lot of steps, and I don't even know what the steps are. This idea, maybe a week old. I think it'd been simmering for quite some time, but I think it had been like a week that I was like, I'm going to do this. I need to do this for myself. I want to do this and I'm going to do this. And as we've learned, like, I get to do this. And I was telling my daughters, I just need you guys to know money eventually is like, I'm not going to be able to throw money around like we have been. Like, we're not going to, maybe it'll take a year or two to get off the ground. We're going to have to pull in. And my daughters were like, finally, finally, mom, go out on your own. Of course you can do this by yourself. Like, why would you ever think? I know, I cried. I still, it's so emotional because my kids were like, just do it. Like, in their minds, it was like, what do you mean there's a process? Just go do it, mom. Of course you can. So that was like a big boost for me. And then I actually sat on it for quite some time, kind of internally. So I started internally. I bought SaraRitchie.com off of GoDaddy. I created my own email address and then kind of like sat there and looked at it like, oh, Sara at SaraRitchie.com. Like, look what I did. And just kind of like started building out the process. And then I went to an event here in Charlotte for all women in dentistry. And it's a super popular event. And it's a networking event for women. And the first night, you had to stand up with the microphone and say who you worked for, what you did. And I had not told many people. Actually, at this point, hadn't even told my family, just my daughters. And I was like, why would I say I'm working for somebody else when by this time next year, I'm going to be working for myself? So I stood up and I said that I now work at Sara Ritchie Consulting for dental practices. And I did put in the other company and I'm here, but I did mine first. And I was shaking. I was shaking. And I sat down and a friend of mine was sitting beside me and she goes, what? What did you say? You're doing what? How do I hire you? Can I hire you? Do I have to go through anybody else? And that was like immediately a checkbox for me to be, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. From that event itself, I had 3 clients.
Okay.
Like from
I want to
the get-go.
So beautiful. I want to pause for a second because first of all, I love the story. I love your daughters.
I know. Aren't they
How
great? They're the best.
how amazing that they weren't like, what are you doing? They were like, why did it take so long? Can you
Yeah.
talk us through? Because I'm thinking of the listener who hasn't even acknowledged to themselves that they want something more. I think you mentioned that 7 years ago you had the thought of like,
Hmm.
why can't I do this for myself? Can you walk us through like what happened in those 7 years? Like, how did you get to the point of that initial thought 7 years ago to like, I think you just said back in October, like
Yeah.
having a family meeting? What was that like for you?
I have always been told that I'm a systems girl. I'm an organized girl. I've never, and I actually don't have any immediate family members who have ever been entrepreneurs. So I've never had anybody say or show the way where you can look and be like, oh, look what they did. I can do that too. Everybody is all like in my family, which is not wrong, right? It's not
Right.
wrong. It's just not been shown to me. And so I've always said, I am the integrator. I am the doer. Do we cuss on this podcast? It's
Oh
always
yeah.
been Sarah gets shit done. Like for a long time, it was like GSD. If it was a GSD, go get Sarah, get shit done. Like that's just how I have always been that person. I'd never even imagined like, could I own my own business? So even though it was there, it was like, no, you can't because you're not that person. I've never even considered to be that person. And because, no, we put ourselves in boxes that everybody else sees. Nobody has ever said, Sarah, go start, like, you can do that. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? I've been the person who says, oh, you're going to start a business here. Let me help you. I'll build the systems out for you. I'll organize everything. Laura,
Oh
I
my
give you, like,
God.
I'll do the Asana board for you. But
How are you
I've
in my
never
head?
said, I know. And it's like, nobody tells us, well, duh, of course you can. Go. I had how old were they? 24 and 22-year-old look at me and go, duh. Like, why wouldn't you be able to do that? So I'm glad that my kids can see that, but it's not something I ever saw for myself.
Mhm.
I've even like have been told like, well, if you're a systems girl, then you're not creative. And of course, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be creative, right? You have to be a visionary. You have to have come up all these ideas. So much so, I was at an event this past week and I was talking to someone and I made the statement, I wish I was more of a visionary because now I'm an entrepreneur and I have my own business. And my friend, her name's Sarah as well, she goes, no. She's like, your zone of genius is systems organization. So you systemize and organize your business and everybody else's. That's your creative outlook. And I was like, well, damn. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So we have to, like, we don't recognize that if it's in us. But if nobody's like looking at you going, of course you can, we've got to do that
Mhm.
ourselves. Like we have to be able to tell ourselves,
Yes. And I will say that yes, your daughters did see it in you, but you first had to call the family meeting to say this is what you're gonna do. So like what
yeah, this
shifted in
is,
you like that you were finally like, I'm
I
not
didn't want to
just
work.
a system.
Yeah. I didn't want to work for anybody else. I didn't
Mhm.
want anybody else making decisions for me. I didn't want anybody else to say, you can't take off now, but you can do it in July. Or you can't do this, but you can do that. I just decided after building businesses for other people, of course, I can build my own business. I've built them for
Of
other
course.
people, like lots of companies for other people. Like, so if I can do that, I can do it for myself. But I also wanted the opportunity. I'd already had the work from home pleasure of, I love working from home and it's so nice, but I was still working from home from somebody else. I wanted to be able to call
Yeah.
my own shots, is what I wanted. I just
Mhm.
wanted to be like, you know what? Today's not a working day. I just don't want to work. So I'm going to go to the beach. Or I wanted to say, like, I wanted to take off for my 50th birthday last week, but I didn't want to take off Monday through Friday. I wanted to take off Thursday through Wednesday because that worked better for my schedule and my daughter's schedule. Like, I have the new puppy. I want to take 30-minute break because I feel like it and go take her on a walk. Like,
Uh-huh.
those are the things that interested me instead of asking permission. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
I love that. Okay, so now take us back to that event where when you introduced yourself as a consultant at Sara Ritchie Consulting.
Yeah.
And what did you say? Like somebody came up to was this somebody that you knew?
No, she would. Yeah, she was sitting beside me. And the irony is, 5 minutes before that, she was like, can I clone you? Can I clone you and you come work with me? She was like, there's so many things that you're doing that I need. And I was like, I mean, we can talk about it. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then that was the other thing. So when I stood up, I was like, just say it and see what happens, right? And for, let's say, 70% of the room, there's like 125 women, 70% of the room, it went over their head. Like they just didn't even hear it. The ones that did were like, what? And so when I sat back down, she was like, we need to talk. And I was like, yeah, let's talk. And then I had tons of friends that are like, what are you doing, Sarah? Like, tell us what you're doing. And then from that, the three clients, two came from referrals and one came where the lady sitting beside me was like, we're working together. Like right now, we're working together.
Oh my
So
god.
it was one of those things that you have to put it out there. We have to learn. We can't just keep it internally. You have to tell the people to get the thing. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, because otherwise they also see you in that box. They're not gonna think of you as
Exactly.
like, "Oh, she could work for me because she's her own thing," because that's all
Yeah.
they know you as well.
Yeah, that's all they know us as. Same thing like with you. We have to tell the world. I quit
Yes.
corporate. I'm out on my own. I built a website. I have these things. They're mine now. This is how I was even thinking somebody told me the other day on my Instagram, they're like, you need to go in there and put, how do you work with me? And I was like, oh, okay. Let me go put in, how do you work with me? We have to literally get on the mountaintops and shout it. This is what we're doing now. This is mine. And this is how you can work with me. And
Mhm,
I want to,
mhm,
I want the people, we want the clients to come, right? We want them, we don't want to push for it. We want them to come to us.
mhm, mhm. So, like, how did, because that's one of the things that I mean, I've had to work on myself, but other people who I know are like entrepreneurial spirits but are scared of, they're always thinking about like, "Oh, what about the financial uncertainty? I don't know if I can leap without the certainty first." So what would you say to a listener who feels that way, who's like, I don't know, I have responsibility, I have kids, people
Yeah.
relying on me. I can't just jump."
Yeah, we all do. I have a daughter right now in graduate school that's living with me, that paid for. I have a grandbaby on the way that I'm getting ready to spoil completely rotten. So we all have like rent and or a home or cars and water and electricity and Wi-Fi. Like we all have to pay it. What I did for myself is I saved. I saved from October until I actually wanted to leave my date was July, and I got really lucky. I was actually released from my position in March, and I had already been building, which was nice. But I also built my savings so that I had something to draw from. Because I will say, because I thought July would be my like kickoff date full time in my own. So it was March. So I am glad I had that nest egg because I did have, of course, like I had to pull from it April, May, June, and July because I didn't have the clients that I like the full roster. And so I did pull, but I had a savings account to say like this is in case I need it. And so I can use for I also figured out what it cost a month for me to live and feed my daughter and the puppy and like make sure we have extra spending money. And then I took that times it by 6 and I was like, this is my savings account for when we make the leap.
Mhm. I love that you said when, not if. Like, you're not,
Yeah. When?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you're
had
not
gotten to
waiting.
the point where I was like, I have my clients, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I got released early and that day it happened. It was March 31st. I was like, oh shit, I'm not ready. And the universe, the world, everybody else was like, yeah, guess what, girlfriend, you are. So now you gotta go. Like now you have to do the thing. And that's what I did. I actually spent the month of April off of social media, like not posting, not doing anything. I just really like doubled down internally and figured out like this is exactly what I want. I'm ready and let's do this.
Mhm. Okay. I love that, and I'm curious because and this is where I get to be selfish and ask questions, but, for anyone else who's going through that transition, because I think part of the fear, like, one is where's the financial security coming from? So you just gave, like, a way that they like, that you don't have an excuse if you really want it, you
Yeah.
can start saving, you can figure it out. And the
Yeah.
second part is, and I've heard this recently because a lot of people, once I put it out there, have been reaching out to me, and the thing I've said is, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. I know you're gonna be successful. I could never do it because I need structure and routine in my life." So,
Mhm.
as a systems person, what was that transition like between having your day structured, knowing like exactly day by day what you needed to do, and then being your own boss?
Being your own boss. Yeah. I'm a calendar girly. I actually I teach and help my dentists and other entrepreneurial women on how to set up a calendar because there's like we have like again those boxes, but some people just don't know. And so my calendar is set up every day, Monday through Friday. At 5:30 in the morning, I get up and I spend 5:30 to like 7. I like a slow morning. I'm going to be
Same.
slow. I'm going to drink my coffee. I'm going to play with my puppy. I'm going to journal. I want to be somebody who just gets right up and like goes to work out. I already know I'm not, so I'm not going to force myself because I'll be miserable. So first hour and a half, 5:30 to 7, I'm slow. I have coffee. I play with the puppy. I journal. I play on social media. I have meditations that I listen to. And then at 7 o'clock is okay, now from 7 to 8, I'm going to work out. Usually my workout's 30 minutes. I give myself an hour. Again, slow morning. Sometimes it's 7:15 when I put on my workout clothes. Like it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And again, you get to run your own schedule. And so from 7 to 8, I work out. 8 to 9, I have it built in for my shower and doing whatever. So maybe that's laundry, maybe that's emptying the dishwasher. I don't know. Like we work from home. So I also know that you have to build in the things that we know we're going to do because we're at home. That's emptying the dishwasher, sometimes talking to my daughter, doing whatever. And then after that, from 9 to, or depends. So sometimes I have time built in, what I call CEO time, which is answering emails, going through Asana boards, making sure like I know what I need to get done. I know my assistant knows what she needs to get done for the day, and then meetings. I like to work between 9 and 3.
Mhm.
I don't like to take meetings any earlier. I don't like to take meetings anytime later unless it's necessary. But my calendar is not going to have 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock meetings all week long because I'm miserable. And I know that about myself. I'm kind of opposite of most people. I like to sit on my couch in the afternoons and type things out, organizing things, creating things, sending emails, going through transcripts. And of course, like we take a chat class together, AI class together, doing all that stuff. I like to do in the afternoon. And then I have on my calendar at 5 o'clock, it says put down computer and go on a walk. So I like literally telling myself what to do. And so I
Uh-huh.
get up and I go on a walk. I also have 30 minutes built in every day. And it says take Dottie on a walk, like Dottie break. Dottie's the puppy. So I make sure I get outside with her. She has time outside. It's also like a good lunchtime for me too. And so I just plan it around what I like. I actually
Mhm.
spent June doing one calendar and I was like, that didn't feel great. So July, I made it a little bit different. August, I've made it a little bit different. September, I'm going to play with a little more. Also, knowing we're going into winter months, which, the time is going to change, daylight is going to change. So I've just decided a calendar and I'm going to make it mine.
Okay, I love that. You took total ownership of the calendar. And what
Yeah.
I love about what you said is that you're not attached to whatever calendar you have for that month. You're just kind of like tweaking based on what you noticed worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
I think that's like really valuable for people to hear, like starting entrepreneurs who might be scared of like, I don't know how to go from super structured to nothing. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, like that first calendar that you made for yourself, like what was that process like? And I'm only asking this. I wouldn't even have known to ask this if it wasn't for me experiencing this for myself for the past two
Yeah.
weeks. Because at least for me, I'm learning like, oh, oops, I accidentally did that. I'm learning by doing. So I'm curious, like, what was
Exactly.
it like for you? Like that first month, how did you decide that, okay, this is the calendar I'm going to try out?
I just threw things on the calendar. I was like, let's just see how this
Ah,
works. Let's just see what works. I will say too, for new entrepreneur, if or for any entrepreneur, we also need to remember we need time to do things. So don't fill your calendar with just meetings, right? So like on my calendar from 3 until 5, it's actually just blocked off time. But it is blocked so that I don't go like, I don't have anything to do and like go shopping or whatever. I actually block it off. So one of my favorite things I do is on Sundays, it's on my calendar at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7 to do a weekly check in. And
okay.
I have a list of questions I ask myself. How do things work? Our weekly review. I'm going to pull it up on my notes. So, what it is I just have listed out questions to ask myself. And so it's a date pretty much with myself to say what went good last week, what did not feel good, and then what on my calendar didn't work. So then that's how I'm figuring out my calendar for the next month. I can go in and see. And then I have a list of like, what things did I not get done? So then I know like, what do I need to move forward to the next week? And then I ask questions for the next week, like, what is the top 3 things I need to do for the next week? And that's for my business. Like, what do I need to do for my business? And right now, like as a new entrepreneur, it's creating social media posts, right? It's reaching out to get new clients, it's doing those
Mhm.
things. And then what I do is I take that list that I create and that 2 o'clock spot or 3 o'clock spot, Monday through Friday, I put it in my calendar. So it's living there. So at 3 o'clock when it happens, I just click on it and I'm like, oh, I'm going to contact these 4 people, or I'm going to make these 4 social media posts, or I'm going to do these things so that I'm not like sitting there going, wonder what I'm going to do during this 2 hours of free time and not get on social media and play, right? Or not get into the weeds of emails. I just do that weekly review to check in, like what happened last week and what's most important for the week ahead.
I love that. I'm like taking notes
Makes it
because I'm like,
easy. Yeah.
yeah, that's such a great idea. And plus, like, I made up this term called productive procrastination. And
Yes.
I feel like probably new entrepreneurs and even me before I called myself out on it, it's really easy to do the productive things, like make your landing page and website perfect instead of like reaching out to people for new clients because
Yeah.
it's like easier to
That's
do that,
yes. 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 And for me, being an entrepreneur, and then it's like you have to call people to get clients. Like you
right?
actually have to reach out. You have to call. You have to email. You have to follow up. You have to send the voice notes. For me, that's harder than being like, oh, you want me to create you an Asana board? Sure, I'd
Yeah.
love to. What would you like on it? I can do that in my all day long. That brings me joy. That makes me happy. I love it. You want me to organize your emails? Absolutely. Give it to me. I'll do it. Like a
Mhm.
Monday board, sure. But to pick up the phone and call and like try to sell myself, that feels uncomfortable to me. So I actually have to schedule that out. What I did do for that is every Monday at, I think it's 11 a.m. on my calendar, I have sales calls. Like that's
Mm.
it. That's for 1 hour. And I just sit down and again, every Monday I put a list of people to call and follow up with. And I open up my calendar and I'm like, I'm gonna call these people. I'm gonna talk to these people. I'm gonna do it. So just so that I can get it done. Having said all of that, my coach, Elise Archer, told me one day, she was like, you're too calendar driven. You don't have any white space on your calendar. And I was like, what's white space? I don't know what that is. And she was like, you need a day every month on your calendar where you don't schedule anything. And I was like, no, that's weird. Like, why would I do that? And so that was actually so I know I was like, that doesn't even sound fun to me. Like, what do you mean I have no plans for the day? It was a great conversation. It was really funny. And so I picked now the last Wednesday of every month because in dentistry, like the last week of the month is easier to
Uh-huh.
block time. And I have it blocked on my calendar and I just made it reoccurring task forever and ever and always. It just says white space day. So sometimes things get scheduled because like it just has to get done or it would be fun to do it. But that's a
Uh-huh.
day where and I'm still not used to it. I still get up and I'm like, can somebody tell me what to do? Because I need that. Like, I need the structure in my life. But our favorite coach says, no, you actually need time
I
just to be. And so I have it on. My white space was yesterday, which I actually flew
uh-huh.
home from the beach. So it was nice. Like I actually didn't do anything because I flew home from the beach, right? So
Yeah.
I'm still kind of getting used to that. But I will say, like, as structured as we need to be, we also need to be unstructured. And so
Mhm.
how I've added that into my life is my evening walks. I no longer put earphones in my ears. I don't listen to a podcast. I don't listen to a book. I used to like listen to a podcast or book or do something. I just, I don't even take my headphones. I just take a walk for 30 minutes. And that gives my brain time to kind of like start creating. I've had a lot of really good ideas at that time. It's scheduled on my calendar, but don't
You
tell
gotta start.
anybody. But it's on my calendar, so I know I need to go walk outside so that I do it. So, but that's actually like my white space time during the day, so that I don't have anything plugged into my head where I just, I'm
Yeah.
just walking.
Yeah. Sarah, I'm so glad we met up because like I knew we were similar from the systems thing.
I
I
know.
didn't realize how similar until you told me about the calendar thing. So I this was somebody that I had dated in the past told me the reason that he doesn't like to be too scheduled is because it doesn't leave room for the magic to come through. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's true.
Oh,
So Sarah, you're
yeah,
gonna
that
love it.
is
You're gonna
true.
love this. Because I'm so calendar driven as well, I was like, I want to be more spontaneous. You know what I guess what I
You
did?
put on your calendar spontaneous time. I know you did. I was going to say, if I
Yes.
should say like spontaneous magical time is what it actually should say. If you say it like we got to make room for the magic. I would do the same thing. I would have like a Saturday afternoon blocked out that says make time for magic or something on my calendar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I started doing that, except I wasn't that creative at the time. I just called it a no plans block because I am such a planned person. You get this, that I was like,
Hmm.
you are not allowed to make any plans. And when that time comes, you decide what you want to do. Sometimes it was staying home, sometimes it was going out.
Yeah,
So for
I
the listeners
love
who
that.
are,
That's so
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
yeah, I'm, that's why when you said it, I'm like, I get it. And here's the thing, it's like, it sounds ridiculous, but the way I see it is like, why not use the tools that we're good at to introduce a new
Yes.
habit? Like, why not? I will tell
Yeah.
you, Sarah,
Yeah.
like, I have been doing the no plans thing. So this was like 2 years ago that I started doing it. Now, intrinsically, I like the white space now. I used to not. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just kind of like it just didn't compute, right? You get it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like this is
weird.
what
It's weird. It's like,
yes.
yeah, it's like, can I read it? Like for me, it was almost like, well, what do I do? Can I read a book? Can I
Hmm.
listen to a podcast? Is that
Hmm.
scheduled? Can I pick, like, how do I not get, like, am I going to
Yeah.
go shopping? Am I going to do lunch? But if I meet somebody for lunch, I need to schedule that or I'm going to forget. Like, it was like this whole, like, bizarre thing. So now I have it blocked as a white space day. But if I
Okay, good.
schedule things in there, so that as a reminder, like to go meet somebody for lunch, right? Then I have that. Then I give myself permission that I can schedule it on there as part of my white space day experience.
Yeah. I'm laughing
It's
so
so
hard.
funny. It's so funny.
You make me feel so much better because when I like what did I tell my friends? I'm like, it's called planned spontaneity. And they're like, that is the opposite of spontaneity.
Exactly.
I was
Yeah,
like, it's a stepping stone, okay? Like I'm gonna get there.
exactly. We're well, and you know what? I've learned like we don't have to though. We don't have to get there. If we live in planned spontaneity, then and if that works for us and we're
Yeah,
still being
exactly.
semi, then it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. My brain would never operate on being spontaneous every single day. Like I feel like I would
No.
like combust. Like that's not joy for me at all. And I want to be joyful in my life. That's not joyful at all. I have one of my closest friends
Uh-huh.
is very, 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 very like she's just like, hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? And I'm like, don't you have plans today? Like, don't you have a calendar? Aren't you like working? And she owns her like, and she does own her own business. And she's like, yeah, but I hate it. And I'm gonna blow off like that whole thing and let's just go get lunch. And like that's who she is. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
if I gave her a full calendar, like her assistant knows, like, don't book her out all day long. She'll be miserable all day. My assistant knows, make sure Sarah knows what she's doing all day and she's going to be happy. Like it's beautiful. It works for, like, you just have to do what works for you to
Yeah, I
bring,
agree.
especially as we're entrepreneurs. We don't want to like look at our calendar and be like, well, like this isn't fun today. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with an entrepreneur, Allison, and
Mm-hmm.
which you know Allison, who's doing Ease in Abundance. And one of our things, the first quarter I worked with her, is to make her calendar joyful for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a task for me is how do I make this calendar joyful for Allison? And we worked on that. And it was like trial, just like I'm doing with my own calendar, trial and error. Like you have to figure out how it works for you to make you happy. My calendar ain't going to make anybody else happy. My calendar may scare people. They may be like, oh, yeah, no, like they'll run away. You may look at my calendar, Laura, and be like, oh, hell yeah. Like, yes, this is good. But other people are going to run. And if I looked at somebody else's calendar, I'd be like, oh, how do you know what to do? Like, what are you doing during the day? So, I mean, we just got to do what works for us and what brings us
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah. I oh my God. I have
Just
never
so
felt so
funny.
seen. I've never felt so I just
I'm
just
like
am
imagining right now women listening to it and being like, oh my gosh, yes, yes. And I think that's the thing too, as we're creating our own businesses. We're creating our own lives, which we get to create our own calendars. We get to create our own day, our own structure, like how it works for us, because we're
Mhm.
running it. We're running the show. And you don't want to run a show that is terrible, or like you look
Yeah.
at your calendar. I know there's a million women out there, whether they're in corporate or working for themselves, and they look at their calendar and they hate it. And it like makes them cry or brings them anxiety, or they just would be like, "Just forget this. I don't even want to work today." Right. So it's like, you got to make it your own, however, whatever that
Yeah.
looks like for you. And I think one of my favorite things is that it doesn't have to stay the same. If you didn't like
That
July, change August. If you don't like August, there's things in August where I was like, I didn't particularly care for that. So I'm going to do it differently in September because it's mine. I get to. I get to do whatever I want to with it.
I love that. And you know what I'm hearing you say is like number one. So the biggest thing is you get to change it. Two is like
Yeah.
how your calendar looks and the flow, whether it's packed or whatever, is up to you. But three is it sounds like regardless of where you are in the spectrum, a calendar is needed to support the life that you
Yeah.
desire, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We need it to support ourselves.
yeah, I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. So before we wrap up, if somebody's like, oh my God, I must work with her because she's so organized. I want to know what my joyful calendar looks like. How
Oh, I
can
love that.
people, yes, how can people find you and contact
They can
you?
find me on my brandly new launch website
Woo!
at sararitchie.com. And Sara is no H, so it's Sara without an H, ritchie.com.
Amazing. I will put that in the show notes. And before we wrap up, I like to ask this questions of all of our guests. If you were an item at a coffee shop, so you could be a drink or a pastry or something like that, what would you be and why?
Oh, I would be, and you know what? Right now, I would be a pumpkin spice latte because it is pumpkin spice latte season, and it's fall is my favorite season. I'm a football girl. I'm a fall girl. I'm a watch the leaves change. We were first in line to get our PSL on Tuesday when it launched on Starbucks. I love the changing of the drinks. If you ask me this in a couple months, I'm going to change my drink. But right now, I would be a PSL.
I love that. I
It's fall
honestly,
season.
I thought you were going to say I would be the calendar. This is a better answer than I expected.
I'll be the calendar in the back of the employee schedules.
Yeah, everyone's schedules.
And yeah, and
Oh,
in September, it would have like the PSL stickers all over it because it's pumpkin spice latte season.
yeah. Love it. Sara, thank you so much. I know I
This is
learned a
so
lot.
fun.
I learned a lot. I'm sure the listeners have learned a lot. One of them is that there's two very calendar driven people right now
I know, on a podcast together
on a
in
on a
matching pinks.
podcast and matching pinks, like having a calendar event called White Space counts as white space.
Yes.
I love it though. I think a lot of people, if even if they don't resonate with like specifically that, I think it's gonna get people to think of, oh, how else can I use my calendar to support what I actually want to
Yeah,
do in a way that feels nice. So
absolutely. I love it.
thank you so much. And for the listeners, definitely check Sara out and her brand new website and follow her on social media.
Thank you. I love it.
Thank you. Big thanks again to Sara Ritchie for sharing her story so openly. These conversations are such a reminder that no pivot is too messy, too late, or too unconventional. If something she said resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone you know who needs it. And when you're ready to start your own pivot, head to www.leadandtack.com for free resources or book a free 20-minute call with me. I'm here for you.